Here we go. Muted. All right, we are live. Welcome to our webinar hosted by Urban Machine, all about deconstruction. Today, we're here with, I'm Jorie Wisnefski. I'm the marketing manager for Urban Machine. I'm joined by our CEO and co-founder, Eric Law, and Deepali Pallath. She is with Garrison. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourselves a little and tell us why you're the experts, why people are tuning in to hear about deconstruction from you.
Sure. Thank you, Jorie.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for signing up today. I'm delighted to welcome all of you, and some of you may already know me, but for those who don't, let me introduce myself. I'm Deepali Pallath, and I'm the Chief Officer at Garrison Demolition and Engineering Inc. You might be wondering why I am here. So, with my background in engineering and management, coupled with over 20 years of experience in construction industry, I have handled complex construction projects. I've led teams of professionals in engineering, business development, and operations. When I moved to United States, I joined Garrison and took on multiple roles, from admin to account to finance within my COO title. And while one of the projects during my time at Garrison, I led our largest demolition project where I had the opportunity to work closely with Urban Machine on one of the deconstruction and wood salvage work. Since then, we collaborated on several projects, and I am proud to be one of the senior executives with practical experience from concept to completion on deconstruction. So thank you. And I now invite Eric to introduce himself, and then I will give you a little more information about Garrison.
Wonderful. Thank you, Deepali and Jorie. I'm Eric Law with Urban Machine. I've got about a 20-year career in construction and technology. That's everything from building a SaaS company to project engineer to contractors and building an innovation program where we focused on bringing robots into the construction industry to augment craft. And for the last 2.5 years, I've been building Urban Machine, where we are focused on using robots to reclaim lumber from construction and demolition waste so the material can be used to build again.
Great. Yeah. And I'm here to learn from both of you. I've been with Urban Machine a little more than a year now, about 1.25 years. And I'm really excited to keep learning. Last week I was at the Build Reuse conference in Savannah, and there were so many amazing people teaching about deconstruction and really trying to make it the norm and move away from demolition to the reuse. And that's what we're all about here today. So Deepali, I know you're going to tell us a little bit about Garrison. That would be great. Let me stop sharing so you
Sure.
can take over.
Yeah, perfect. Hi, everyone. Um, So Garrison is a demolition contracting company working throughout California and was incorporated in 2019. So far, we have completed more than 100 projects throughout California. We work with public and private agencies, and we are a union contractor working throughout California. Um, we work for the structural demolition as well as the interior demolition or tenant improvement work as well. Let's talk more about in some of the upcoming slides. Garrison provides entire solution right from the budgeting, the estimations, the site preparation, or if it is required to bring other trades for shorings or excavation, for structural demolition, hard demolition, or it could be the interior demolition. We have completed several projects for building, bridges, industrial buildings as well. And we, with our ASB license, we took care of the hazardous material removal with our subs. So if we need to give the turnkey solution from the abatement or and demolition, we do provide that service as well. In Garrison, we ensure that all the licenses are kept updated, and so we have C21 AASB licenses, and we are a small business SBE, disabled veteran owned business, so it is a DBPE as well. So some projects, if you have any particular goals, we definitely can help you using those SBE and DBP component as well. Um, at Garrison, safety is one of the utmost requirements, and we ensure that our safety parameters are really maintained well, and you can see that by our EMR, which is 0.81. Especially for the demolition industry, it is really remarkable. Let me introduce my other team members. So Chris Huff, who is the CEO and president, founder for Garrison Demolition and Engineering. Chris started this company in 2019, just before COVID. Chris brings a lot of values and experience from demolition, because he grew up in the demolition family where with the demolition business. So mainly he was in the interior and tenant improvement demolition in Southern California with his family, but later on he acquired the knowledge with the structural demolition, working with several large demolition contractors, and finally he started his own company. So he brings hands-on experience, which is really good for the team. Similarly, Aaron and Alberto, they are the our brain and heart for the field, because they definitely bring lots of expertise when it comes to the demolition. They have worked in California and other states with a lot of important projects, key projects, where the demolition was really important, and safety was one of the prime requirement by a lot of general contracting companies. So as a whole, we bring a highly experienced team, though the company is a startup phase, like just less than 5 years old now. And every time, like when it comes to the successful company or successful deliverables, definitely the people, processes, and equipments are extremely important. So we understand that requirement for the equipments, and so we have heavy excavators to do the demolition works, right, ranging from 374 as high as 374 to 330, with required attachments and buckets and hammers and all those required things for the demolition. We do have company trucks to move the small tools to the sites, and which is really helpful with the reunion labor team.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So you talked about Chris starting this company in 2019,
Mm-hmm.
coming from the demolition background. How did he make that shift to incorporate both into this business?
Because he has the interior tenant improvement experience, but he definitely got more experience with structural demolition, working with the larger demolition companies. And then it was a right thing to start his own, which he can work both on the interior tenant improvement as well as the structural demolition.
I see. Okay. And what motivates Garrison one way or the other? What incentives does Garrison have to use deconstruction over demolition?
Sure, that's a good question, Jorie. So Garrison is incentivized to use deconstruction rather than the traditional demolition methods on some of the projects, because there are numerous benefits, just not only the cost savings, but there are things like we are giving a new life to the building material once it is deconstructed. So that entire concept of sustainability is important for us. And we see by diverting the deconstructed material from landfills, we are not only expanding the life of the landfill, but on the better side of it, we are definitely giving the material back to the society for reuse, repurpose. And so entire the character of sustainability and responsible resource management are definitely in alignment with Garrison's values. So Garrison feels like it's like a gift that we keep on giving by repurposing the material to the future generations. And so this noble thought of preserving resources and creating a positive impact serves as a significant incentive for Garrison to choose deconstruction over traditional demolition methods on several projects.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And
And then,
Deepali, we've gotten to work with you guys on three great projects. Right, there's the glass factory, or the was it the smelter, the ironworks in Oakland, South Montgomery down in San Jose, and
Yeah.
then Fremont.
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about those three projects and how deconstruction played a role in those?
Definitely. So, like we met in 2020. I think it was summer when we were awarded the San Jose project, and there were requirements of almost, I think, 20,000 square feet of roof was really reusable, repurposed, and Eric met me at the site, right? And then we also visited the Urban Machines. Facility in Oakland, and then we strategize the logistics, like what sizes of the wood should be required or fit for the right purpose, and how we can do it. And my team, like Alberto and everyone at the site, also come up with the solution, and we successfully not only did the roof salvage, but we also added some more, because when we saw there is after the abatement, there are some of the wall panels and interior wall segments are also reusable. So we added more quantities to the uh, salvageable material. So that was really a lot of learning, and I would say a wonderful opportunity. And once the site team knew that, hey, we can, rather giving this material to landfills, we can reuse, repurpose, and that concept, they also liked it. So my site team, like when they come across this apartment complex which is reconstructed, they are adding one more floor, so entire deconstruction rather than demolition was happening, but we see there is a lot of wood component we can salvage. And so we said, hey Eric, can we handle this, right? And we seamlessly manage that portion of the wood from that apartment complex building. Similarly, the industrial projects, recent one in Oakland, where we see very good quality wood, redwood, or and which is clean wood, and we can definitely repurpose that. So my team came up with a hybrid solution, and without disturbing the client's timeline and anything, we ensure that we can salvage some portions of the wood for the um, reclaiming the wood for the repurposing, right? So I think, yeah, these are the really good projects, and we are talking few more, so hopefully something soon come up, right?
Yeah, no, it's been a phenomenal partnership working with Garrison and their team. And I think one of your key points is, your superintendent Alberto, working with his team to get the material off the job site and the deconstruction plan and bring the roof down without smashing it. And that San Jose project was great because we were able to source 1x8 from there, 2x4s, 2x6s. So really good material out of really old, 1950s buildings, I think was the age of those, 50s or 60s. So really good stuff working with your team.
that's awesome. And you all started working together before I started at Urban Machine. How did this union come about?
San Jose
Yeah,
project.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Eric, you can talk about.
No, go ahead, Deepali. I'll just you.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it is, when we see there is a synergy, right? When we talk to client, hey, or the client has a project which is they want to salvage the wood, but they don't know where the material will go. Do they buy it again, or can we get the benefits of the dump tickets, recycling goals from the city to be furnished, right? So they have a lot of logistics questions. So when we, like Urban Machine and Garrison, come together and answer those questions, hey, this is the way we are going to deconstruct, this is the way it is going to be segregated the material, and this is the way it is will be transported, and we'll get the recycling tickets, or how to meet those true waste or any other specific goals for, or laid platinum rating or whatever they are applying for, right? So how can we assist and facilitate jointly? I think it's easy to showcase joint projects and talk about the practical thing and gain confidence that yes, seamlessly we will manage this project and this is the way it is going to happen. I think so. Approaching together on as a team is definitely the best advantage, I would say.
Sure.
Mhm.
Yep,
Teamwork makes the
absolutely.
dream work, right?
Yeah, the great thing about what we're doing at Urban Machine is creating that demand for reclaimed lumber. Essentially we bring down the price of it, so it's less of a premium product and more of a standard offering from the lumber yards. So we can grow the demand, and then we can reclaim more of it by taking the nails out with the robots and the machines. Our machines don't have big caterpillar arms on them, similar to the Polys here in the picture, but they have much smaller arms that pull all the nails and the staples out of the wood, and then we can feed it back into the lumber supply ecosystem. So it's a great partnership. We rely on DePauli and several more of our peers in the space to source the material coming off of these job sites. So it stays out of the material recovery facilities and the landfills.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you have video and pictures to share of that. Um,
Sure.
Yeah, you want to go ahead and share those?
Yeah, we can definitely do that. Slides here. Cool. So one of the things that we like to talk about here at Urban Machine and with folks is keeping material out of the landfills. And so today all the wood gets ground up. Let's see if we can get the audio on this one. And so these grinders, $500,000 to $2 million, depending on the size of the grinder. But this is where all the wood waste goes to today. They typically sort it out at a material MRF, and then they grind it up, and some of it will go to bark chips, but the majority of it goes to cogen fuel, or it goes into a landfill. Very little of that actually gets a second use or a second life, besides incineration and bury. And so this is really our goal at Urban Machine, is to keep it out of the landfill, and we're doing that with the robots. And so the cool part is after that material comes out of those buildings, this is what it looks like. So those are actually the 2x4s that came out of the Fremont apartment building that the Pauline team were deconstructing the interior, doing essentially a select demolition on, and then we removed all the fasteners, and now they're going back to get used as 2x4s in construction projects and building projects, and we're also doing some DLP with it. So it's really cool to be able to tell that story that says, hey, this material came out of this project, this down in Fremont, and then here's the players that were involved. Garrison did the deconstruction, Urban Machine did the denailing, and then our upstream partners will take it and they'll mill it, plane it, or sell it straight back to the job sites, depending on what that need is. And so it's really cool, and we can track all that with a QR code. That's one of the fun things about wood, is you can track that story and share that story that says, here's all the players that are involved with that particular project, and then here's how we reuse the material. You don't get to do that with concrete and steel. As we saw in the pictures, the concrete and steel gets munched up and then turned into base rock for concrete, or off to a refiner and melted back down for steel to go into a new beam. So they're getting recycled, which is good. And now we're doing that with wood. And so it's awesome to keep this material out of the landfill.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really great because, like, typically when earlier I used to do the construction, right? So, like, okay, this is when I pass by, I said, hey, this is the building we build it, but now I do demolition. So, like, the building disappears once we complete the demolition. But then by reclaiming the wood, like you say, hey, the building is not there, but still some of the components we reuse, and here is that new component, new birth of the reused material. So this is really awesome. Great.
Sure. It is. It's exciting. And I'm wondering, how does Garrison approach that, that process of deconstruction so that we can source wood and Urban Machine can reclaim it?
Mm-hmm. Sure. So like you know, the every project is different, right? So it depends on the type of the structure, the type of the size of the woods which is to be salvaged, the constraint at the site, and a lot more things, right? So when it comes to the how we approach it, it is if you have the time available. I mean, the budgets and schedules of the projects allow us, we go complete hand demolition so we can maximize the output and we can maximize the salvageable wood quantity, right? But I mean, in practical instances, there may not be the similar thing, right, every time, and there may be some budget constraint, there may be some time limitations, right? So we create a hybrid approach where certain elements of the wood, right, or suppose if it is a salvage of the roof wood, right, so we do partial deconstruction with the handwork, and then we do with the hybrid approach, the balance part will be bring it down with the equipments, and then we segregate the material at site and pile up in the required size of the woods for the ready to transport it. So I mean, ultimately our goal is to strike a balance between the efficiency, sustainability, and project requirements, right? So, and also we see that with all this we achieve the highest possible level of wood reclamation while meeting the client's needs, right? And so it is as it is fully hand demolition, or it could be the hybrid as far as it concerned. Yeah, if any one of you has any project in mind or something, you can definitely reach out and discuss with me so we can come up with some viable solutions. Yeah.
Yeah, it is great. You know, the one thing we have all learned in this, and we recommend this for clients and designers, is start early. We've been asked to take a look at some projects kind of late to the game where they've already bid out the project, the demo contractor's already got their scope in hand, and then the client's like a week before they start like, hey, can we salvage some of this? And that's really hard. It's much better if you do it before you bid it out, design the project for deconstruction, put the schedules in place for it. And that'd be good to hear, Deepali, kind of on the schedule. You know, is it a little bit slower to deconstruct on the projects? Do you guys take more time with it versus the machine smashing it up? Kind of what's your experience there?
All right. So, like, I would ask, what are your core values, right? What are you looking for, quality or quantity? So, time always depends on that. So, I mean, yes, for the 100% quality, 100%, you need more time. So, it will a little bit slow in that case. But, you know, the duration of deconstruction can indeed vary depending on the factors, such as like size and complexity of the structure, as well as the quality of the wood material involved, right? What are the sizes? And if it is a longer size, 18 feet long, it might be quicker. If it is a small size, it might be more. Similarly, in many cases, like deconstruction may require more time as compared to traditional demolition method, because if it is you need meticulous dismantling and salvage process, right? But with the, as you said earlier, with the careful planning, coordination, and implementation with the efficient techniques, the required time of deconstruction can be minimized. And we always prioritize efficiency without compromising the quality at work, right? So I think with the effective project management, we can definitely see how quickly and efficiently we can manage the deconstruction at site.
Nice. And then do you guys typically work directly with the owners, or do you guys usually go through a general as a sub, or both?
Right. We do both. We work for the public agencies or private companies, right? And we work as a GC ourselves, or we also work as a subcontractor if it is a larger project and where there is new construction is also involved within the project after demolition. So we are open for both of the things. Yeah, I might like to share some of the various photographs of the projects where we did the demolition. So let's go and see some pictures, some picture time.
Pictures speak volumes. I love it.
So yeah, so this is one of the bridge demolition we did near Walnut Creek. You can see how the bridge is being demoed with the hammer and excavator. We work in a lot of different types and size of the projects. We work right from the education sectors, a lot of school remodeling, the high schools, the education colleges or buildings with gymnasiums and all. Some of the projects are highlighted over here. We are working right now in North Hollywood High School. I mean, for more detail, of course, please follow us on LinkedIn page of Garrison so you can see more videos and photographs about the projects. Yeah, commercial sector is definitely one of the key sector where a lot of possibility of the industrial wood and reclamation is possible over there. So one of the project we work in San Jose is also mentioned here. We work in San Francisco, El Monte, down south. Same with the industrial sector. So if it is a large industrial buildings, we do take care of the power plants or the foundries, any demolition for the industrial projects as well. So when you ask Eric, yes, we do work for the public federal agencies. Like we have worked on several projects with Department of Veteran Affairs. Either as a prime contractor, we become the GC on the VSS Sausalito. There were 2 projects, similar kind. And then we worked on the other VA projects as a subcontractor to the GC. Same with the other public sectors other than the federal government. We work with cities, counties very closely. We have done a lot of fire stations remodeling. One of the Sandaman fire station is over here. And we do the we did a couple of very interesting projects where there was a fire damaged building in Irvine for the city of Irvine. We did similar way for the Coca-Cola factory demolition for city of Hayward. We manage as a general contractor ourselves. And yes, as we mentioned, we do a lot of tenant improvement work where there might be a lot of complexity because there are a lot of trades involved in this thing. But with our safety and right methods, we make this project successful. And when we do all these demolition, we always see if how it is possible to do some salvage work. Is it a client requirement or something we can do ourselves? So these are some of the project where we did a lot of deconstruction, and you can see the wood going ready for the urban machines factory, right?
Yep.
That's great.
Yeah. Hope this helps.
And those pictures are wonderful because they show, oh, sorry, if you bring them back up, the pictures
Okay.
of keeping all the wood organized
Yeah.
is a huge win with deconstruction because one, you can ship more of it and denser than if you just throw it randomly into a bin. And then 2, it's much easier for us to feed it into our machines.
Right.
You see the
Yes.
flatbed trucks with it all bundled together, and that's where the superintendents, that's where Alberto's awesome, with
Yeah.
bundling it up and getting it off the job site
Right.
and onto our trucks. Because typically we send out the trucks to the job sites, and then Alberto and his crew load them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Same notion when I saw the truck. I was thinking about a presentation I heard last week from Turner Construction, and he was saying that his GC had the idea to like speed up the deconstruction process was to just immediately put it on the pallet so that like they're not piling and then moving and then piling again and putting it on the truck, and it just is such a time saver and such a simple thing, but it made a huge difference for them.
Sure.
Yeah. So are you guys finding that same kind of thing when you're trying to salvage the materials? I mean, obviously for wood, it's
Yeah, sure. Like
yeah,
definitely, because the we have to ensure that we minimize the mobilization or transportation within the project itself, right? We cannot pile up one place and then picking and placing it in different place is time consuming and costly as well, right? So ensuring the efficiencies of material handling is key component. And yes, we especially with a skilled workforce and the vision from the supervisor, right? How it needs to be done, and he knows from the beginning. So those planning and logistics are extremely important.
yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. I think one of the big questions people ask and challenge is the cost. Um, what is the difference? You know, is there an avenue for cost reduction through deconstruction? Um, yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
question.
I mean, yes, everybody thinks it is costly or not costly, or how does it fit in the budget, or how to manage the cost for the deconstruction. So definitely, I mean, there are two types. You see the direct cost, right? So the definitely we can save the dump fees. We can also save the transportation cost going to the landfills, and so there will be a actual saving of dollar which is directly impacting the project budgets. And sometime if the wood is really good quantity, and the resale value of that salvage material, or if you are reusing in new design, that material value itself is resale value of the reclaimed wood is again a direct impact, which is a positive on the budgets. And there are definitely lots of indirect benefits, I would say, which everyone should take care and understand that in detail, because you are reusing the material, so you are saving the space in the landfills. And I mean, nowadays it is very difficult to get those opportunities to have the landfill nearby, like the cities like San Francisco or some, right? You have to drive all the way far off places to dump the fish. So your carbon footprint, environmental protection, all those things can be definitely indirectly affecting and benefited if we are repurposing the material and not sending it to landfill. Yeah. Eric, would you like to add something on this?
No, you got it all. The sustainability benefits are awesome, and then sometimes it's less expensive to deconstruct. It just depends on the structure, and obviously here in the San Francisco Bay Area we have high trucking costs and high tipping fees at our waste facilities. I've learned that there are some municipalities with higher ones up in Canada. Some of those folks have higher tipping fees. But when you start to look at it all, the trucking and the tipping fees, it's expensive to throw material away. And so it's much better to use to look at it. Um, One thing I was going to ask you, Deepali, is do you ever work with the designers on helping them, think about deconstruction up front? Do they ever reach out to you guys and say, hey, we want to do deconstruction, but we know nothing about it. Can you guys help us out?
Not directly I have involved. There were a couple of discussions in the beginning that yes, how, I mean, they can use the material, but I think it is a lot of flexibility. It is, I mean, wood is definitely, it's as virgin as it was, right? So it is a, I would say, the strength of the material and the look of the material, right? There is no harm or no problem in making the new design with that. So I don't see, I have not directly, we have not committed anything, and we were not involved in the direct design. But yes, I would say it is definitely very super easy to incorporate the reused material in the new buildings.
Yep. Yeah, we call that the most circular story is when a client's bringing down a building, we can reclaim the material from it and then use it in the new one.
Right.
That closes the whole loop and keeps it the shortest path.
Sure. And especially with the current situation where supplies, I mean, the logistics, right? Like supply chain is broken, and where the it taking time, right? So it is always benefited if we are reusing the material and eliminating that time and travel time, right, for the material to reach to the end user. So which is really great.
Absolutely. Speaking of time, I know we talked a little bit about, obviously, the longer you take, the more careful you can be, the more resources you can recover. But comparing deconstruction to demolition, um, I know it's not the same all over, but comparing time-wise, what are you looking at for deconstruction versus demolition? Sorry.
I mean, it is not right on my part to commit numbers. Like, it varies on the size, type, and location of the project, and a lot more parameters. So, I mean, we would love to evaluate the project. We can do the site visit and then see what are the components are required deconstruction versus the demolition, right? So, we come up with some schedule which is benefited and agreed with the client and consultant and everyone. So it is difficult to commit without looking at the project, like how
Yeah.
much less or more, right?
That makes a lot of sense. I've been really impressed with how quickly it does happen. I think, the comment I hear a lot from demolition people is, but it takes so long. Who has time for that? And I've heard Eric's response to that many a time where he says, how many times do you see a job site where they hurry up and they demolish everything and then it just sits vacant for a very long time? So I visited a job site out in Milwaukee, a demolition company, I'm sorry, a deconstruction company was taking things apart. And in less than a month, they had already taken down 2.5 of the 4 buildings on the property. And
Right.
I could not believe the stacks of lumber that they already had in place. And that's a month. I mean, that's not,
Yeah.
it was actually like 3 weeks. So
Right. Yeah.
I'm sure you guys are seeing that same, as you get better at the process too, right?
Yes, and
Don't need
it all
something.
depends, yeah, upon the expertise and what technique. And once we are experienced and we know, oh, this is the way we are handling the material,
Sure.
I think it goes super quick. So, and demolition itself, like it takes very less time. Only segregation is if you know how you are doing the segregation, like, you're not mixing up everything and then it takes time to do. So, yeah, smart in initial phase, then it goes very quickly.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense. What kind of advice would you give to other companies thinking about going the deconstruction route?
Sure. I mean, first thing I would like say plan in advance, as Eric says, right? Like when the project starts, before starting, when you're in planning phase, see what are the components which you're planning and which is possible for deconstruction or salvage, right? So planning perfectly is the important thing. Second, I will say some people for look out all the financial opportunities, right? You feel if it might hit my budget or something, but it might be wrong, right? So look all over, see if there are financial benefits associated with deconstruction, like a tax benefit by donating that wood, or income from the material salvage resale, right? Or a saving from the landfill disposable cost, right? So these all financial incentive needs to be evaluated well when we plan to commit a project. Second thing is advocate for major policy adjustments, because I mean, we are the people, we have to tell to local or state level and support the initiatives for the deconstruction, because it is for the bigger larger goal, right? And especially a state like California where we see a lot of wood is just burning every year in the fire, right? So I mean, we appreciate the reuse repurposing thing, so be an advocate. Educate yourself or around you, and participate in those outreaches where we can engage in educational opportunities to learn how the deconstruction process benefits, or what are the different donations or resales opportunities are available, right? And I would say support those funding, like if you are a larger general contractor or government public sector, right? So support the funding of the demonstration projects, right? And workforce development, because more people are aware and more people know how to handle the segregation of wood at sites and work safely, it will definitely the quicker and faster. So I think it is more important to do the workforce development and support those aspects. And I think finally I would say partner with the local salvage or the retailers, right, who are reselling the material from the repurposed salvage wood or reclaimed wood, right? So staying in touch with them, and whenever you have the requirement, see if you have the choices are available. And lastly, if you are a structural designer or you are an architect, start and using the repurposed wood in the new building designs, and encourage the designers to use this wood, right? So that will definitely one of the best thing to do. I think these are the some of the things I would like to say. Yeah.
Sure, that goes right back to what Eric was saying. Plan ahead. The sooner you do it, the sooner you put it in your plans, the easier it
Correct.
is to actually execute
Mm-hmm.
um, that idea. We have our first question. Rafaela Paniza. She's asking, she said, thank you for organizing this webinar. I'm a PhD student working on estimating building components at a city scale. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about the pre-deconstruction process when assessing the building composition before deconstruction. In other words, how do you make this estimation of building composition? Thank you for your time. Thanks for your question, Rafaela.
Sure. Yeah, it is a good question.
It is.
I would say during the pre-construction, when you are budgeting, you would come back the quantity of wood, right? So I mean, the way you are quantifying the dump fees, you are able to quantify the transportation cost in the estimation. So those costs you are saving, right? But what will be the resale value, you might need to check about what size of the wood you are achieving from that project, and you can probably see the conversion, right? And you can definitely come to some near numbers in terms of the entire project pricing.
Got it.
Eric would, yeah.
I
Go
was going to
ahead.
say, obviously one of the challenges is what's behind the drywall or what's behind the lath and blaster in a building, how big are those beams and stuff like that. One opportunity that we've chatted with folks about is when the abatement folks go in to identify hazardous contaminants in a building, right? When they go looking for lead paint and asbestos on the pipe and stuff, they start to poke holes and they start to identify. And there may be an opportunity to partner up with them and get the photos that they take and the holes they poke and say, okay guys, what's actually in these roof trusses, what's actually behind the walls. Because ironically, the hazardous waste buildings tend to have some of the cleanest wood because the abatement folks go in and they have to get every piece of lead and asbestos out of it, and we end up with really clean lumber because all the drywall's gone and all the
Right.
MEP stuff that had all those hazardous materials on it. And we're actually partnered up with a university, and we've proposed on a grant to try and get better at identifying what's in a building before it comes down. Because I'm pretty sure, I think DePauli, you guys get an address and square footage and maybe an age and some descriptions and say, hey, come take this thing down for us. It's
Sure.
not a lot of information that the owners provide when they go out for a demo or a deconstruction bid.
Yeah. Right. I think, as you said, yes, evaluating the hazardous material report, evaluating, or maybe like exploratory checking, like what is behind this wall, right? So making a job site visit and checking that what material is available is important. Yeah, great.
Absolutely. You mentioned education before, and obviously this all ties in with this last question. How do people go about getting educated on
Uh-oh, I think we lost Jory.
try to bring
Yeah,
some
we
education
lost you
in?
for
Yeah.
a second.
You're
Oh,
back.
oh, okay, good. Sorry. um, I don't know how much you heard of my question, but I basically was asking how do folks go about getting educated on deconstruction? We're hosting this to try to help bring awareness. What other avenues can people take?
Yeah, I would say there's the working groups, right? So there's some deconstruction organizations and deconstruction experts out there. You were just, Jory, last week at the conference in Savannah,
Yeah,
Build
build
Reuse.
reuse.
And those folks are phenomenal. on best practices and recommendations. They'll train deconstruction contractors on deconstruction. So I think there's a lot of opportunities with those folks, and we can definitely connect people up with them. I'm sure Deepali knows some folks as well. I mean, her superintendent Alberto's awesome. He does a great job. He knows,
Yeah.
he puts the plan in place of how he's going to bring down the trusses, how he's going to bring down the sheathing, how he's going to bring down the walls, and then has his crews go at it to try and maximize the amount of material we get. And it's that brain knowledge and sharing that from folks like that across their team that really makes Garrison different from the rest, and a better partner for us to work with in terms of quality material and volumes of material we get from their projects.
That's great.
Thank you, Eric. That was wonderful.
And how does Garrison see the future of deconstruction? What do you see happening?
Yeah, that's a real good question, and I see definitely at Garrison point of view, we see a promising trajectory ahead of the time, right? Like because you see right now there is a growing recognition and commitment for the sustainability goals, right? Among the public agencies or it is a large contractors, everyone is looking and seeking ways to reduce the environmental footprint and embracing the deconstruction as a means to achieve the objectives. So we anticipated definitely it's going to gain momentum and more projects you are going to see in terms of deconstruction. I mean, I would like to go back and see one of the picture on my slide in the beginning. So this wood cabin, and this was a public project. It was a small cabin full of wood and the redwood, like and the access was very strict, and we have to take only small equipments to demo this particular thing. But the public agency wanted this to naturalize and make it a natural habitat, and we didn't bring any waste or trash out of this, and this was naturalized fully in the wood as is, it was nothing over there. So our team did such a good job, and you never know that this was existing, only some component which was not part of the wood or things were brought back, but everything was naturalized at this place. So I would say if public agencies are coming up with such mandates and such projects and they are encouraging, we see a real great future about deconstruction. And as we already discussed few questions, few things, topics in the previous questions, like supply chain issues, the burning of fire, right? Like fire burns so many forests over year in year, right? Every year. So, and these deconstruction will definitely help bringing those effects minimize on the environment side of it. So I think it's a really bright future, in my opinion.
And have you seen, you've been at this a while, have you seen a real increase in people requesting deconstruction?
Yes, definitely a lot of interest is coming up from different GCs and the owners as well. And they're evaluating the option whether this can be reused or can they use it for the another next project what they are coming up, and how we can salvage that material, right? So yes, I can see definitely a great interest coming up.
That's great. How about the partnership with Urban Machine? How has that helped your ability just to be more sustainable and to pitch deconstruction to people who are coming at you for demolition?
Yeah, as the collaboration has really been great, and it is easy to showcase that how we did it, right? And how, one particular component of deconstruction, how we handle, and once we deconstruct, how the denailing and the resale part of the wood can be handled by Urban Machine. So when we are representing, it's more interest. And it shows our commitment as a joint team, which is really helpful, and it's getting us a lot more opportunities.
We do have a comment. Eric Gorski says, "Yay for reclaiming! Great work, Eric and all." I love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's so many Erics in this industry.
Yeah.
I feel like, which Eric are we talking about? That's awesome. Eric, do you have any other slides you wanted to share or
No, I
questions
think
for Paul?
this has been great. I think we've covered deconstruction and the times and the costs and all the benefits of it and the environmental benefits. And partnerships are important in this industry. There's not a single company that's going to solve the problem, and working together works out really well for us all.
Yeah, it's really true. That just the collaboration, the effort to tell about these different companies. I've been blown away by the fact that everybody really understands what's happening to our planet and why we need to act now and change the way things have always been done. And I applaud everybody for touting, different companies and sharing what works. It's great. So I appreciate you being here today, Deepali. Thank you so much for helping us get the word out there about deconstruction and explain about what makes Garrison so successful with what you're doing for deconstruction.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on this presentation and discussion. I think that is the right message, right? Like we need all of us to be in terms of awareness. We all need to educate ourselves. We need to participate in outreach and events where we can help environment so great, right? So yeah, that's super important. So thank you for this opportunity, and I would like to share my contact information, so
Yeah,
anyone has any questions or any projects they need to discuss, definitely feel free to reach out to me. At Garrison, we are committed for transparency and very quick and efficient responses. So please feel free to reach out to me for any questions or any projects or requirements.
yeah, that's great. I'm glad you put that up there because Deepali is very good about responding. I've done a couple of projects with her already, and she's definitely easy to access. So ask her questions. And same with Eric. Eric's
Yeah,
email is eric@urbanmachine.build. You want to,
yeah, you
and
can share if you want.
yeah, throw that up there. And if you want to learn more about our wood reclaiming robot, of course, Eric, if you hit slideshow, then that'll make it nice and big. There you go. If you want to learn more about what Urban Machine does, our wood reclaiming robot, just check out our website, urbanmachine.build. Everybody, happy almost weekend. Thanks for
Yeah,
tuning in.
Cool.
yeah,
Thank you, guys.
yeah. Thank you.